Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. Well, welcome to episode 123 of the Flagstick Podcast.
Check.
I had this 123, 123, mic check. This is the Flagstick Podcast, everybody. And you know that because you're tuning in. I'm Jeff Potter. He's Scott McLeod. And this podcast is sponsored by somebody. It is sponsored by Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island is a premium Canadian golf destination boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in our great country. 400 fairways, closer than you can possibly imagine, top-tiered accommodations and exquisite culinary experiences. It will be the easiest golf vacation you ever book, so go ahead and book one at golfpei.ca. Before we get going here and rolling, make sure you're following across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook, and subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And, of course, we encourage you to check out our YouTube channel, like us, and click the notification bell to make sure that you never miss a single episode of this podcast or anything else interesting, great, or dumb that we put on the YouTube channel.
Whatever that may be.
I don't know. Whatever.
He gave us a nice out in case we put up something dumb. So.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I'm always setting up your
bets.
all possibilities. Sorry.
Sure, I like it.
We'll see if I can stay awake for this podcast.
Let's try.
What do we want to talk about this? We kind of want to talk. We're going to talk about a range of topics on the front.
Yeah,
it's kind of a little bit of a mixed bag of tricks, followed by a mailbag in the back nine. So we're going to go with the mixed bag of tricks to start with. So who knows what we're going to pull out? Be like Santa Claus coming down the chimney, pulling out the presents. You know,
or the Easter Bunny.
The Easter Bunny. Yeah, the Easter Bunny dropping his eggs everywhere. I don't know. We don't do that. We don't look for the eggs in the woods anymore. We just go get a bowl of them off the kitchen counter and start chowing down.
I'll tell you a funny story though. We're out for dinner. Our daughter's home temporarily for heading back to university today to do two more exams. But we went out for dinner on, I think it was Thursday night, and we were at a restaurant, and this one table over to the side of us, you know, a bunch of different people with like lots of little kids and stuff like that, and it just so happened my wife knew who some of them were or stuff like that, which is not fully relevant, but at least she knew them. And then a table over on the other side of us was an older couple, and they were getting to the end of the meal, and we heard the waiter came over and go, "Oh, you guys getting ready to go home and be the Easter bunnies and hide the chocolate?" But he said it loud enough, and I'm like, my wife and daughter reacted right away, and it took me a few seconds to clue in to realize all these kids were just over there.
Oh my god!
And then in my brain, I'm going, "Oh no!" And then I look up at the waiter, and you can see in his face going, "Oh no!" Hoping that these kids did not hear this, but or hopefully they're not listening to this podcast and hearing it. But anyways.
Well, you know they are.
Right. Anyways, it was just like, "Oh no!"
That's brutal. Brutal, dude.
That'd be a tough way to find out.
Check the room, dude.
Exactly. Look around. God. Anyhow.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's get into it, Scott. I mean, it is what it is outside right now. So let's get into kind of talking about this a little bit on the front nine here. Brought to you by Metcalfe Golf Club. Natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Sometimes I say golf season is not that far off. I have to say golf season is here. It is here. Courses are open, so it's time to start thinking about the golf season ahead. And if you haven't done it already, golf at Metcalfe is a great place to start. Become a member, join one of the leagues, participate in one of their great events, save some money on your golf if you're green feeing it with popular game passes. Great way to save money. 10, 20s, and 30s. Visit metcalfegolf.com to pick yours up. All right. Yes, guess what? It's a month now. A month until the Flagstick Open.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes, the Flagstick Open is, we'll say it unofficially sold out.
Yeah.
Because we don't really call it officially sold out until we're like a week away from the event and you can't get in. So we do have a number of people on the wait list now, which is what happens and it's expected. So, but if you want to get into the tournament and you want to get on the wait list, just go and register. You don't get charged until you get in. Simple as that. At this point, if you're not already in the field, you just put in all your info, register, and if the spot opens up and I slide you in, then you get dinged on your credit card. That's basically how it works. So there's no risk. Just go sign up if you want to play.
And May long weekend at Equinel, so people are not aware, and obviously we have various flights, lots of players, good players coming from all over, guys that just come out for kind of a buddy weekend where they're playing in some of the higher divisions. So golf course will always be in great shape, and I'd say we put on a pretty good event. So
I'd say we do. And speaking of good events, the Flagstick Shootout at Smuggler's Glen is happening in July 2nd, July 12th and 13th, I believe, is our dates. And it's the same format. We altered that from the first 2 years. We made some changes last year, and then we've made changes again this year. We had a lot of requests by people that were higher indexes, higher handicaps, that wanted to play in that event, and we were kind of originally billed it as an elite event. Well, we're not. It is an elite event. It's an elite event to all the golfers of all the different levels and divisions because of how great the event is. So it's wide open as well. Smaller field, though. We've only got 72 spots available for that one. It's a smaller field. However, it is open to A, B, C, D division, same as the Flagstick Open is. So again, register. Great sponsor there with Cobra Puma Golf. Great little grab bag for everybody, and 2 days of outstanding golf on a great golf course. And it's another kind of weekend away possibility. I mean, tee times are later in the day, so you can do the commute back and forth from Ottawa or back and forth from wherever you happen to be, Belleville, Peterborough. Belleville, they come from everywhere. But if you want to stay on site, you can do that too. So it's awesome event. So get over to flagstick.com, check out both those events, get on the wait list for the Open, and register for the Shootout. Registrations are happening with only 72 spots and wide open to everybody this year. I say that again, wide open to everybody this year.
So they're going to go fast on the golf course. I know there's a number of players that have been down there and played it already because it is open, which we're going to get to some openings here in a minute. But, it's in great shape, and people have already said that. So, come July, it is going to be mint for the Shootout.
I know. Now, here's the thing. This time of year, we hate kind of always. I mean, it seems like every episode we're talking about, oh, look at the weather outside. It's snowing. Oh, there's my God. I mean, I think 2 episodes ago we were talking about a foot of snow on the ground.
Yeah, true.
There's no snow on the ground. We've had a number of nice warm days.
Yeah.
But it's still junky, ugly, messy, dreary, freaking, is it cold? Is it not cold? Brandon's working at on the maintenance team with Chris Chapman at Camelot. They're trying to get the golf course. So he is honest to God, he is He's loving it. He was cutting excuse me, collars and aprons and stuff yesterday.
Nice.
And the day before. So he's only 2 weekends into doing this role. He's already kind of I think Chris is trusting him to do some real work out there, and he's was showing me some pictures of his striping. So
handiwork.
Yeah,
I used to love that.
Oh, nice. He's using the real mowers now. He's using the real deal now, not the Ego with the striper on the back of it. This is the pop the wheels off, the self-propelled. Let's go. Let's go. But he said the course is looking really, really good, and they're opening soon. So, but it was
Friday.
It's cold and rainy and.
It's just not comfortable, especially if you have to be out there for a while. And I think maybe people don't understand that. It's great when you go out and play. For a lot of people, it may not be perfect, but you're also out there. You're excited to play. You're walking around or whatever. But
those maintenance crews don't have the luxury of picking the nice days to work and taking the crappy days and staying at home. They're out there and it's cold. And at 7 o'clock in the morning when it's rainy, it's cold. So they're can't wait for lunch to come so they can go and grab a bite to eat, warm up, and go back out where it's a little bit warmer.
Yeah, I remember
Oh
those.
man.
I remember those days well. Some great times doing that as well. But also, go easy on your golf pros as well. I know there's a lot of people that are clamoring after people for outdoor lessons right
Oh,
now.
just
Guess what?
chill.
Guess what? From a perspective, they want you to be comfortable,
Yeah.
so that you get them an optimal learning environment. There's no sense in being out there and 2 minutes into your lesson you're shaking and shivering, and just remember those pros are going to be out there for hours. So,
Yeah.
just like the maintenance staff. So,
Just relax, everybody. Relax.
we'll get there.
You've been
We'll get
waiting,
there.
waiting a long time. You've been
Yep.
busting at the gut to get out there and start hitting balls and stuff. And I see the ranges at a lot of golf courses are open now, and the courses are getting closer.
Yeah, lots of
That said,
courses.
the course openings calendar is peaking, and the
Yes.
traffic, our website traffic. I always worry this time of year because in the past we, get into this sort of 2-3 week or more span where the course openings calendar is going crazy. The traffic on the website is off the chart. We can peak this time of year, like right now, at 5,000 or 6,000 visitors a day.
Yeah.
And that's significant. And but it's holding up. The new server, since we made that, knock on wood, cross your fingers. Since we made that change and got all and finally tweaked everything, it seems to be holding steady and handling all the traffic. So, my gosh,
I know it's been nonstop. I mean, obviously when golf courses decide to open, whether we find out that info or they reach out to us, and thank you to all the ones that have reached out to provide those opening dates. That's been great. And we do it live. We have it set up on a Google Calendar that's embedded into a post. So anytime we find out golf courses are opening, they go onto the calendar right away. So that includes all weekend, 24/7, doesn't matter, long weekend or not. I had a bunch that came in this weekend, and you had some that came to your email as well. We've now, there's more than 30 that are in the region, Eastern Ontario, Western Quebec, that are opening this week alone. So it's kind of, as you said, it's peaking. We're getting to that point that we're getting more and more open, and I would say by next week we should have more open than we have ones that are closed. So we're kind of getting to that crest.
Need the warm weather at night. I think that helps tremendously, is to get the warmer weather at night to really kind of get things going. You don't expect everything to be super, super green and lush and everything, by May the 1st, but we need those warm temperatures at night to really, get the grass to start pumping a little bit, so the cuts are good. And we're just not quite there yet with the warm weather in the evenings.
We had lots of rain here down in the Kingston, Ontario area. We had a ton of rain yesterday, which is not great as well, because, as one superintendent kindly reminded me a few weeks back, you can't cut mud. Good.
That's a good one.
Yeah, this is a good one. So again, just be respectful and understand as well, you're not necessarily going to have carts out there. And if you do have carts out there, it might be cart path only. So so it'll
understand this. Just because you pay a membership fee does not mean that you are entitled to play the golf course the way you see fit. Yeah, the golf course has got to be playable for the long and needs the longevity of the full season. And if they start, they need the conditions of the golf course to be right for you to be out there, so they can manage it, they can maintain it. And if that means you sit on your butt or you hit balls on the range for another week, let it happen. You'll appreciate it that much more come July, when your course is in great shape and not beat to crap because they let you out there in April.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than midsummer, and then all of a sudden you see those. It looks like a dinosaur stepped in the on the ground, but it's it's a cart rut that's from a wet conditions, when all of a sudden a cart goes over and it's soft and whatever. So
exactly.
So
all right, anyways, so there you go. So keep checking out the course openings calendar. It's updated every day, 24/7. Well, not 24/7.
Pretty much,
dude. He sleeps. Okay.
I do sleep.
But... He does sleep. So check it out. Eventually, it won't be there anymore, and when it's not there anymore, that's a good thing.
You got it.
Okay. Let's talk about trust, Scott. You trust me, Scott? Do you trust me?
I trust you,
but do you trust me to give you a review of a golf club?
I would trust you more than I trust a lot of people. That's for sure.
Okay, well, that's not a yes, but that's not a no. So I'm going to take it.
No.
So who do we trust to review golf equipment? Because we see this. I mean, this is like a big thing now. It's not whether it's golf equipment or golf instruction, but golf equipment for the sake of this discussion. Yes. When we see this stuff on social media, we see someone talking about a driver or a putter or how a golf ball performs or what's the right golf ball for you. How do we know that we can trust that person, and who do we trust to give us that review on golf equipment?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think the problem is there's a good and a bad thing here. We've talked about it a fair bit before. I mean, there's a lot less barrier now for people to establish something from a media side of standpoint, social media, whatever the case. The issue is, though, how do we know that they're an expert and they know what they're talking about? We don't. And unfortunately, a lot of people will equate to follows as expertise. That's not a certification. So I'll tell a story in a minute here, but I would say, I would say don't instantly believe what you read. That would be the biggest thing. And I think the problem is that people don't take the time to vet their sources. They'll see a one sentence response from somebody or a quick TikTok and somebody saying, hey, this is the best, whatever, but they haven't looked into, what's the credentials of that people? Are they qualified to give that opinion? What is that opinion based on? Are they a decent enough player that they can give you the feedback on that equipment? And again, I'm not saying the person has to be a great player.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, it's not that, as much as it's not a prerequisite,
right.
It's a prerequisite that the person be an outstanding golfer. I mean, that's not necessarily true.
No, but they have to understand how golf equipment works, how it affects players in particular ways. And you have to understand as well that, when it comes down to golf equipment, everything's going to be an opinion. And until it works with the golfer and you go through a proper fitting and you see how it works for you, it's a guess until then. But I would caution people as far as some of the sources that they're going to. And I have an example, and I'm not going to name who the person is, but I thought it was funny because I saw this person post, and, they've consistently been online for a number of years. And I saw somebody I knew responded to them and asked them a particular question about a club and said, hey, what do you think of this, and this? And I took the person aside and said, why do you aside as in I sent him a DM and said, why do you follow this? Well, a lot of other people follow him. So, I figure he's got a good opinion. And then I basically said, well, guess what? I know this person. I actually been on a trip with him before. I actually have played golf with this person. And he's like, oh, and he's like, oh, he's been in the golf industry for a long while. I see he's got a designation within his name. I'll tell you what, it's just a name on social media. He's not actually a member of that association. On the other side of it, he's trained. Let's say this, if I was going to prepare my will, I would contact him. So obviously from a perspective that way. And, again, you don't have to be a great player in order to review golf equipment, but I will say this person, if they were making judgments on equipment based on some of the swings that I saw them make, because this person whiffed while I played golf with them, like missed a golf ball, like, yeah. Anyways, but the problem is this is a minefield for the average golfer to kind of go through. So my caution within this, because it's going to be very hard to vet this, was I would say, don't take the first thing you hear from a person as gospel. Vet the source, determine maybe do they have an affiliation with that company? Are they saying things for a particular reason? There's a lot of different things that go into it. I mean, for an example, you might look at an outlet, the only equipment they talk about is from one company, and they talk about no other company. Well, do they have a balanced opinion on what they see? What's their level of testing? What have they actually done? What have they gone through from a process? What's their actual knowledge of equipment and how it works with particular players and so forth? So try to get them, try to get as much of an educated opinion as possible. And if you can't find one definitive source, start pooling a lot of different sources and realize then that's just an opinion. Then you have to go by yourself and go to a proper fitting and go through that process as well. But again, take that into an account as far as, have a grain of salt as far as, look at who that fitter is, look at what their process is and so forth. So I feel bad because the problem right now is that golf equipment costs a lot of money.
Yes.
You're investing a lot of money in this. So, be very cautious about what you see, and especially on social, when the person's only qualification is the fact they have a social media account. Make sure they have other qualifications, have a look, make sure that they're certified as a fitter, maybe, in other, products and companies stuff.
Well, I think the thing that we're looking at here too is, like, for instance, when you're getting advice for somebody about golf equipment, or you're listening to someone review golf equipment, number one, the person giving the advice does not have to be a PGA professional. They don't have to be Canadian PGA or US PGA. But if someone's giving advice about fitting, if someone's giving advice about, that, like, getting that specific about the equipment, then you kind of have to, like, for instance, I would never give somebody advice about specifics about fitting. Right. If somebody asked me how long should my golf clubs be, there are some general statements that you can make about fitting with respect to the length of golf equipment, but ultimately the equipment needs to be properly fit, both static and dynamic, in order to find the right length. Sure. But I'm not going to. I could give somebody advice about what golf ball they should have, because that kind of thing is based on spin rates and feel, and it's kind of a personal preference. But there's all kinds of different factors included in a golf ball. And if you know all the makeup of the golf balls that are in your arsenal to talk about, then you can find a golf ball for somebody. A shoe or something like that. But when you're getting into very specifics, where those things kind of involve an understanding of how the person swings a golf club or hits a golf ball, it's very difficult to say, this driver is the right driver for a 15 handicap when you can't even break 100 yourself. That's not the kind of golf equipment advice that somebody like me would give. And I have years of knowledge and experience in the golf industry, and I wouldn't give that kind of advice. I would defer to somebody who has a better understanding of a golf swing than I do to be able to, or someone who has a better understanding of what's goes into the fitting process on site with a fitting cart and all that kind of, like, there's processes involved here. And you got to be careful. You really do have to be careful.
And once people are involved, we have to understand there's a lot of variability within people. So how they're going to interact with that piece of equipment, ball, shoe, club, whatever it is, how they interact with it is going to be different. So, that becomes important. So you have to think about that from that advice standpoint. I mean, if somebody says, what color is that driver and what's the shape? Well, yeah, that's pretty easy. But again, giving an opinion going, oh, I like the shape, it looks good. Well, what looks good to me doesn't necessarily look good to you. So again, take it as a grain of salt with any of these things that are out there, and be prepared to know that, it's not always definitive. And I warn people all the time, because obviously we get questions all the time from people. What do you think of this, this, and this? I will tell them kind of what are the general characteristics and kind of what they're for, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to suit you or not, because again, it comes down to that personal preferences more than anything. So I would just say go ahead.
That was interesting that you mentioned it, because the other day I happened to be somewhere, and I had somebody recognize me, probably because I was stamped head to toe in Flagstick stuff.
Sure.
And they approached me and said, "Hey, listen, I'm looking at I want to get a new putter."
Yep.
It's
like a minefield, eh?
What's the best one? Yeah, exactly. This is what's the best putter what's the best putter out there? What should I be looking at? And I said, here's the thing when it comes to putters.
Yeah.
So this goes to, I'm not reviewing the equipment. They're asking my advice about what the right putter for them is. And I'm like, look, here's the best way that I can describe to you how to find the right putter. Go use the putter. Like putt with it. Like you could putt with there could be a $29 putter on the shelf somewhere. And that might be the right putter for you because that's the one that feels right. Now there's some characteristics of some more expensive putters that could help you long term with your with how a putter feels to you, the materials that go into making it, the type of putter that it is, whether it's a mallet or whether it's not. That type of thing. But ultimately, when it comes to putter, I said, ultimately, you got to go and putt with it. Just go find a place where we happen to be was a perfect place. I said, just go grab some putters. Go putt. See how they feel. If they don't feel right, it doesn't matter if it says somebody's name on it and costs $400. It's not going to be good. It's going to be a crappy putter for you. Even if it's the most expensive putter on the market and everybody tells you it's the best. No. So there's it's a difference. If someone says driver, again, it's a feel thing, but there's also physics characteristics that go into that. Driver might feel better to you than any other driver that you've ever hit, but it's putting up a spin rate of 7,800 RPM off the driver. And it's like, I don't care if it feels like the best thing that you've ever hit. It's not the right club for you. You can't use it like that. We have to find a different combination. There has to be a different shaft in there, a different loft combination, something to bring that spin rate down, or this driver is going to be a garbage for you, whether it feels like the best thing that you've ever had in your hand or not. So, there's different areas, different levels of that kind of stuff. But we're talking more about reviewing than fitting. And, trusted review. God, I mean, yeah.
It's hard.
Vet the source.
Vet the source. Vet it as much as possible. Go back through the history. If you're going to use that opinion to make a decision, I'd be very careful.
I'll tell you this. This is a trusted source. Right here, flagstick.com, Scott, myself to a point, is a trusted source. If you've read a review or you've listened to a review from somebody about a piece of equipment that you're looking at going and buying and you're questioning whether or not that is a true assessment, just email us. Call the office. We're more than happy to give you our opinion about that particular person's review or what they're saying about it. And I can guarantee you that this source right here at flagstick.com is a trusted source.
We stay as agnostic as possible. And I would say one of the biggest things that, I just like is people, basically reviewing something and advising somebody to buy something based on just the name that they have on it. It's deeper than that. There's a lot more characteristics. So anyways,
we got about 7 minutes here. We just want to plow through these last two things here. The last two events in the PGA Tour, Masters, RBC Heritage, resulted in sudden death playoffs.
Yeah.
Which is always exciting. Sudden death playoff is always exciting. It's like sudden death overtime. Is this the best format to settle a tournament, though? Do we like a cumulative playoff format, or do we like this sudden death idea? And I got to say, my own opinion, I prefer the 3-hole format that some golf tournaments impart. Not many anymore. But the 3-hole idea, because the person that is coming off the golf course that just played to get into the playoff, and the person that's been sitting around hitting balls on the range, there is a distinct advantage. Now, I'm going to say you go back and look and see who's won more playoffs. It could be the guy off the range. I'm just saying, for the sake of argument, that the person that's on the range waiting for the other person to finish hitting balls is at a bit of a disadvantage, because the person that is on the golf course just finished playing 18 holes of golf, and now they're going back out to play one more. They're probably in a little better position to attack, depending on what happened on the 18th. But I like the idea of a 3-hole aggregate.
And I think that really the difficult part here is also defining the difference between, tournaments too. I mean, majors generally will have a different format, be it, whatever, 18 holes or an aggregate playoff or whatever.
Don't like 18 holes though.
Yeah, 18's a little bit long. I do like the 3-hole aggregate for sure, especially for majors.
Yeah.
And I would say anything that sort of levels the field a little bit, because even though you make the point, somebody coming off the golf course versus somebody on the range as well, they could have been struggling a little bit with their game, and all of a sudden they get to go and sort of fix that a little bit. So there could be kind of both sides to that a little bit. But that said, if that's the case and you put them out there for a few extra holes, then generally you're going to have a little bit different outcome than maybe you'd have just on one shot.
And well, look what happened to the Players.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. So
that was all Rory after hole 1.
Yeah,
but then it wasn't, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of makes it a little bit more exciting when there's a chance for that guy to come back and make it something.
Yeah, and I think they've worked all week or those 4 rounds to kind of do that. It would be the same if hockey, they didn't do an overtime, they just went right to a shootout. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, do you want to go right to a shootout, or do you want to at least play hockey a little bit first?
Get some shots on net, some back and forth, some ebbs and flows like that.
Yeah, so I'm with you on this as far as format. I mean, I'd love to hear from people what they think as far as settle a tournament, but I don't mind even if it is a regular tournament. And I understand they have time constraints, they have all sorts of different things. Players want to leave and stuff like that. But hey, if you want to win, $3 million, play 3 extra holes.
Exactly. Okay, 2 more minutes really quickly here. Nelly Korda's Champions Dinner. We always talk about the Masters Champions Dinner. We kind of forget that the Chevron Championship has a Champions Dinner as well. So we got a hold of the menu, Nelly Korda's menu, and it's apparently this is said to be an ode to her Czech heritage.
Yeah, which is why I can't pronounce half of it,
and we're not going to try. We're going to botch it, and it's be up.
Sure.
Okay, so they're starting off with the Regis Ova hybrid caviar, I guess.
Yep.
Big eye tuna tartar, cucumbers and green apple dill.
I don't know. Not my deal.
Cream of mushroom soup, new crop onions as opposed to old crop onions, and garden peas.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I can live with that.
Caviar,
herb roasted fillet of Snake River Farms American Wagyu beef. Sauces goulash. I don't know. Sauces goulash to me used to be like ground beef, macaroni noodles, kind of like hamburger helper. That's what goulash was. I think it was some tomatoes or something, cooked tomatoes.
That's not real goulash.
I don't know. I'm just saying that's what my mom used to call it. Mom used to call it goulash. So
her sounds really good. She was trying to put one
what
over
else
on
do they
you.
have here? Served with Greek deli salad, Sacramento Delta white asparagus. Oh, I do like asparagus. I do like me. So I had asparagus last night for supper. Garnet yam gratin, yam gratin. Glazed mushrooms.
Yeah. There's definitely a veggie theme within this.
And then we get into Ovigne Kedlicki.
I'm letting you go at that.
Ovigne Nedlicki. Springberry dumplings, toasted poppy seed, Tahitian vanilla anglaise. I mean, it sounds great.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, yes, obviously it's got some, a nod to her Czech heritage. Very veggie heavy, which is way different than the Masters one, which tends to be protein heavy.
Very
anything.
Very much with protein.
But I think it's creative. I think it's it's not the same old. So I'll give her credit for that.
Yeah.
I definitely think it'll be maybe introducing some of the players to some new foods, which is not a bad thing. So
I'd maybe asking.
I'm glad they have it.
I can get a burger.
I'm glad you can still order off the menu, sir.
Beautiful. All right.
Anyways, good stuff.
Let's take a break.
Yeah, let's do that.
I need a break. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to go to the mailbag. We haven't done the mailbag in a while, so we're going to go to the mailbag. So we certainly hope that you've been enjoying what you've been listening to and watching so far here at the Flagstick Podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod, but there's more to come, so stay with us, and we will be right back.
Hey, loser buys the first round. You're on.
On Prince Edward Island, we believe in playing your game your way. From the first tee box to the 19th hole and beyond, With over 400 fairways waiting for you, there's always another reason to golf Prince Edward Island.
All right. Well, welcome back to Flagstick Podcast, episode 123.
123.
123.
Check.
Let's get right into this back nine, this mailbag thing. This mailbag on the back nine. Mailbag on the back nine. Presented by Celtic Golf Center with two awesome locations, one in Kempville and the brand new location in Kingston, both featuring multiple state-of-the-art TrackMan sims. Your golf season never has to end. Enjoy a round with friends, join one of the many leagues, get fit for some new equipment, take a lesson. Celtic Golf Centers has got you covered because it really is all about the golf. Visit CelticGolfCenter.com to learn more, book tee times, or to sign up for said leagues, etc. Okay. Mailbag.
Been a while.
I feel like, it's Dora the Explorer there. Mailbag. Let's look into a mailbag today. Okay. Let's start. What?
Nothing.
What?
Okay,
so who are your early picks to win? This is mailbag stuff, so I'm kind of like throwing questions out, but this is what people are asking us.
Yeah.
Who are your early picks to win the 2025 RBC Canadian Open at TPC Toronto? First of all, let me say, super pumped and excited to see this at TPC Toronto this year.
Yeah.
Super pumped and excited to see this happen. I love this golf course. I love what they've done, the changes that they've made to the course.
North course. North course is the host. Yep.
The North course. The facility, everything. I love what's going on out there. I cannot wait to get back up there and have a look at all the changes, but I love what I've seen so far. So, that said, that's not the question. Do you love what you've seen? But I've given you that answer anyway. Could I be avoiding the actual question because I have no freaking idea? My freaking idea. Who's my early pick to win the?
Well, we don't know who the field is, except.
Well, I mean, if I had to throw somebody out there right now, I'd say if Rory's playing,
he is
kind of hard to pick against the guy. I mean, he's a juggernaut right now.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the obvious choice for everyone. I mean, I know it was a different golf course. It's been different golf courses, but he's won it 2 times. He tied for 7th last year at Ancaster, and this golf course certainly plays into his skill set, like a lot of other golf courses. But extremely long now, 7,500 yards, which I guess is not long by tour.
Not by these guys' standards, no.
No, but we'll see. When we get to it's earlier in the year, it may be a little softer than most 7,500 yard golf courses that you see on tour. So the longer the better. I mean, we saw the PGA Tour Americas had their Fortinet Tour Championship there last year, and although it was September, it was certainly played super long. But he's got to be the obvious pick, the prohibitive favorite, the reason why they're selling lots of tickets and stuff right now. I like Corey Connors based on how he's rolling this year. I mean, he's got the most top 10s on the PGA Tour this year.
If you're looking at which Canadian is probably most likely to do the best, I would say your Corey Connors is probably a good bet.
Probably.
I mean, he's playing right now, but
Mackenzie Hughes had a top 10 here at the Canadian Open last year, and is just coming off a tie for 3rd on the weekend as well. So maybe he's trending nicely here. But again, you're going to need some extra length at this golf.
Who I'd like to see Canadian wise, who I'd like to see kind of make a breakthrough here, like really kind of start to solidify a name for themselves, is Adam Svensson.
Yeah.
He's been out there with he's
with
there with these guys. He's a winner, but I mean, he just doesn't seem to have the same carry the same name weight as a Hadwin, as a Mackenzie Hughes, as a Corey Connors, as a Taylor Pendrith. Even though he's won, it's like.
I don't think he cares. You're right. I don't think he gets enough respect.
That's what he's done already. So I'd like to see someone like that win the RBC Canadian Open, and you want to talk about slapping a name for yourself, which should already be there anyway. By the way, but give some respect and some props to the guy. I mean, some people just seem to not think he's Canadian or something, but I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. We always talk about all these other guys, but there's Svensson doing his thing. He's in these events. He's a winner.
I guess it's hard to make too many early picks because we don't know who's in the field.
Yeah.
So we could sit there and throw out all sorts of names, but maybe they're not playing. But hey, how about if he was playing, somebody like a Minwoo Lee, who's now a winner on tour. Yeah. He's got lots of speed. North has some room to it. So I mean, you can
need some room for Minwoo.
Yeah, so that could be helpful that way, but we'll see as the field develops here. But yeah, I think we're both going with Rory.
Okay. Right. Do we think that there'll ever be a Korn Ferry Tour event played in Canada? That is a very distinct possibility, but
I think that's a return because we used to have one.
We did.
We used to have a nationwide tour.
Nationwide.
Which is Korn Ferry Tour.
Yeah, I know, but
it's the same tour.
I know that, but Korn Ferry, nationwide.
The same tour.
I know it's the same tour. Where it's the same tour. It's the same tour as the Ben Hogan Tour and the Nike Tour too.
Correct.
And we're talking more current. Is would there be a Korn Ferry Tour event currently?
Yeah. Again, it says again at the end. I don't know if we will. I mean, I think the last one we saw was in Nova Scotia. And I don't know if it had that much success. I mean, people have to understand that, these tours are not just run by the tour themselves.
They're local. Well, there's the same thing with the one at Eagle Creek. I mean,
right. PGA Tour Americas, you have a local organizing, group. So you got to remember there's going to have to be somebody to step up and fund this with the hopes that they're going to make money, and they're also going to make money for charity. So,
well, that's the big thing. And they're probably better to have an event like this, probably better off if some big, massive nonprofit organization is the one that's actually running an event like this, where they don't need to. They're trying to make money for their charity. Like ultimately, that is the whole goal. But when you get an independent tournament operator that's looking to make a profit off of it, on top of raising money for charity, I think you got the double-edged sword there that kind of makes it more difficult. If you got an organization that's running it, like what they have, is it at the Waste Management? Is the Waste Management not run by?
It's the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, so it's completely run by a charity organization. So nobody's trying to make a profit from this. They're trying to make as much money for the charity as they can. So everything that is above and beyond the cost of running it is going to charity.
That's their motivation.
Exactly. Right? So I think if you have an organization run a tour event like a Korn Ferry event or a PGA of America's event, or like I think if you have an event like that run by an organization like that, then everything's going to the charity. So there's a win-win for everybody. So I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think it's just too hard. I think we talk about Adam Svensson getting respect on the PGA Tour. A lot of these players on the Korn Ferry Tour don't get enough respect. So, are you going to actually bring enough people out there to help this tour this event make money? I mean, that's the challenge more than anything. So, I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon, unfortunately.
All right. So somebody was watching the RBC Heritage and they talked a lot about players really enjoying the golf course at Harbour Town. What makes it so different from others? First of all, I'm the wrong person to ask this question to, so why don't you take it?
Why? You played it.
I know. Honestly, Harbour Town is not of tour courses of not my favorite golf course.
I'm
not really there's something about it that with Harbour Town, prior to having played it, I had this sort of wild expectation based on what I saw on TV of what this golf course was going to be, and it disappointed me. So I kind of have this, what makes it so different?
Well, I guess the point, I guess
behind a restaurant.
I guess it's not a case of do we like it or not. It's what makes it different. I think what makes it different compared to other golf courses on tours, it's shorter. It's now just over 7,000 yards long. It's tighter. I know, isn't that funny?
Short?
Isn't that funny? I know.
7,000 is a lot shorter than most tour courses at 7,000 yards.
Isn't that wild? I think a lot of it has to do with the ambiance around there. So I don't necessarily think I don't think it's necessarily just the golf course itself. I think players, yes, if we're talking about the golf course, a variety of players believe that they still have a chance to win there. It doesn't eliminate the players that are maybe just shorter and more accurate. It requires a lot of different shots than maybe you'll see on some of the other golf courses that see on tour. You'll see a lot, and if you watched on the weekend, you saw them showing the the usable parts of the fairway. So sometimes if you're left and right and you're in the fairway but you still don't have an angle to the green, so it requires a lot of precision. The greens are a lot smaller, so it emphasizes different aspects than maybe some of the other
for sure
some of the other courses do. I think players also like it because it's post Masters. It's a little bit more chill. They bring their families there. They come to Hilton Head, hang around on the beach, that sort of deal. So I think that's part of the appeal to it as well. But if you're talking about the course itself, I think it just requires a different skill set than what you normally see week to week on the PGA Tour. And I think some players appreciate that because, again, as you say, don't really like it. So
I heard some rumblings that some people felt that maybe this particular event shouldn't be the week after the Masters, that only because it's a signature event, and that maybe there should be a little bit of they should have an event, a lower level event in between, to give the players coming off of, guys like Scheffler and stuff. They played well and everything. And of course, Justin Thomas obviously played well, kind of in a redemption week for him. But to give those players that might normally want to play in that event or play better in that event a little bit of a break after a major, I don't agree. It fits into the schedule where it fits into the schedule, and these guys should be able to play back-to-back weeks. And if people want to go celebrate like Rory probably did, then so be it. Take the week off and move on. It's still a great event, still a great finish. So I got no issues.
If they want to step down, they can go play in Punta Cana.
That
tournament was on this week too.
Was it the Barracuda or something?
No, the
Punta Cana
Corrales.
Okay. All right. So the LPGA's got their first major happening this week, the Chevron Championship. Obviously we talked about the Champions Dinner just a minute ago. Oh, I see. We'll come back to it.
Sure.
Any thoughts on who might be a contender? This is kind of like what we just did with the RBC.
It's just an obvious one.
I realize it's this week, but Nelly Korda is kind of the defending champion. I think that might be one of your top contenders, but
sure. She hasn't been off to the greatest start this year, though.
The LPGA Tour is kind of, it's no different than any other tour. There are so many of those women that can win week after week that it's really hard to kind of predict. Brooke is due. But am I really looking at Brooke this week? Probably not, just because she really hasn't been.
She missed a cut last week.
Yeah, so there's nothing there to kind of pump you up and get you excited about where she's going, where she's doing leading into it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that I really have a.
I'm laughing because it's like, well, Nelly hasn't played that well. She's 12th actually in the race to the CME, so I'm gonna slap my hand.
Playing consistent.
Yeah, she
maybe not as well. Based on last year, but
maybe Lydia Ko. Lydia Ko has obviously been playing well. Gino Thitical, she's obviously first right now in the race to the tour. And a number of players that have been performing decent, but that's always hard to say. As you said, there's so many good players on this tour. Minjee Lee's been trending well.
Yeah,
and maybe we'll get a Minjee win after after Min Woo only.
I was gonna say we're gonna get Minjee and a Min Woo. Minjee and a Min Woo.
The brother and sister win. That would be
exactly.
Cool.
So I know that might not answer your question specifically, but it's give you a little bit of a. Okay, so let's back up one.
Sure.
Not that these are in any particular order, but we will back up one. Which major championship are you looking forward to now that the Masters is over? The answer to that question is quite simply the Open Championship. That's the one that That's the one that interests me of the four every year. That's the one that to me is the most unpredictable. And I love where it is this year.
Yeah.
Anytime it kind of heads to a course like Royal Portrush,
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
I like
Port
it.
Rush is so good. And obviously
Don't ask me who the favorite is because I'm not even going to dignify
No.
that with a response.
And we remember how much chaos there was there in 2019 with the weather.
I know.
So we expect just the same. So yeah,
Very excited about that one.
I'm the same with you. I mean, for me, it's the Open now that the Masters is over. So
okay, all right. Interested. Okay, so all the mini drivers being offered these days. What's the advantage, and why would I or should I consider one? Well, the first answer to that question is how many clubs do you currently have in your bag?
there you go.
Because whether you should or would consider one might be dependent on the fact that you might already have 14 sticks in the bag.
Yeah.
Second part of that question is why would you consider one? Well, the funny answer would be because it looks cool. The functionality part of it,
that's probably the reason why some of the people are going for it.
The functionality part of it, well, that's the thing. I mean, I think
it's
something
trend,
like this
right?
it's a trend. I'm not going to say it's a gimmick because it's not a gimmick.
No.
These manufacturers are not spending thousands and thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars on development for a gimmick. That's not how this works. It's too expensive nowadays to make golf equipment to make a gimmick. There is a reason behind it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know what? Back in the day, lots of people had the 12-degree. Was it the brassy? TaylorMade had a brassy. The 2-wood. Lots of guys had the 2-wood in the bag. It's essentially kind of what you're.
Same sort of concept,
same kind of concept.
Just in a modern version of it.
Maybe a little easier to deck it. Because it's a little smaller. Maybe I don't know.
I think.
Did you get one? Sure. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It won't be in my bag, but unless someone sends me one.
I think the sneaky good reason for it is the fact that it gets players into a higher lofted driver without them feeling that they have to get into.
That's an interesting way of looking at it too. Yeah.
Right. And so if you look,
because if you tell somebody they should be using an 11-degree driver, they probably go, "Well, my buddy's got a 8.5 strong X Flex." Yeah. Well, you're not your buddy.
If we look at it, I mean, most of them have like 11.5 or 13-degree loft options. That's kind of the most common that are in it. And if we look at sort of a lot of golfers that have a steep angle of attack and tend to reduce the amount of dynamic loft that they have on their driver, where they don't get the carry that they should. As I just said, it's hard to sneak that person and say, "Hey, take your driver and your $800 driver and put a 12-degree loft on it." They're like, "Yeah, I'll be a chopper if I do that," or whatever. Like,
but nobody would know.
Well, that's the thing, right? Ego is a strange thing when it comes to equipment. But if we wrap that into a mini driver, that obviously sounds cooler, a lot easier from an ego perspective to dump that into the bag, but it's probably a better fit. Like you said, it's easier to probably hit off the deck. Most of them are. Their CG location is a little bit lower. Some people like a smaller shape in the driver. But in most cases, it's the loft that's kind of helping out. It's helping the golfer kind of achieve more carry because when it comes down to driver fitting, the situation that you get from most players is they don't carry the ball enough. The number of times that I've played with golfers and they're like, "Oh, I hit that ball too high," and then you look and you're like, the apex was like 50 feet, dude. Like it needs to be going up. And then you hit one and you hit it way past them. And you're like, was that too high? And it's like 120 feet in the air or whatever. So I think the biggest advantage over anything is that, that loft is going to help the players achieve a more optimal carry. And, at the same time, they get to have something cool in their bag that nobody's going to question, the fact that they have a higher lofted driver in there. So.
There you go. Okay, so the follow-up to that question would be, how often should I buy a new driver? This is that's
a loaded gun.
So to me, this question has a bit of a broader spectrum to it.
Sure.
How often should you buy a new driver? You could reword that question and say, how often should I buy new golf equipment?
Sure.
Because essentially the answer to the question to me is one and the same. You don't need to buy new equipment just because there is new equipment to buy. If what you have is currently performing for you and you're happy with it and you hit the ball well, then there's no necessity to purchase new equipment. Some old equipment is, if you look at the PGA Tour right now and look at what's in the bag of some of these guys, if you're the type of person that needs validation from that, look at. I was looking at what's in the bags.
Do you see JT's 5-wood?
I didn't see his 5-wood, but I saw Brooks Koepka's 3-wood.
Yep.
His is an M2.
Yep.
Okay, so when you talk about M2, okay, TaylorMade currently has the QI 35 line of clubs, which is their current, but the QI 10 was before that, and then the M2, you're going back
2016.
A few generations for him still to be using that. Means that club performs well for him with the shaft combination that he has in it and the loft that's on whatever it is. So there's some factors there. So that's what you got to be looking at. You don't got to be looking at, this looks cool. They say it does this. No, it's what performs for you. Until just, I think, 2 years ago, maybe, I hadn't had new clubs in forever. Definitely hadn't had a new putter in a long time. And then I tried something and I really like that. Tried a little more. Yeah, I really like that. And it went in the bag. So I don't think there's an answer that you can put on that and say, well, you should get a new driver once every 2 or 3 years. No, you shouldn't just get a new driver. Yeah, maybe you should experiment, go to some demo days, try some new stuff, compare it to what you're using now. And you might find that the new stuff gives you an extra 5 yards, maybe 10 yards, but maybe the combination of the new stuff and the shaft that they're testing in it gives you a better ball flight. You hit it higher, maybe you hit it with a draw instead of a fade. Maybe you're longer. Maybe it just feels better. Then you buy a new driver.
Yeah, or maybe your game changes. I mean, that could be a difference as far as how you deliver the golf club. I was mentioned JT's, he had a 10-year-old 5-wood in his bag. So same thing like Brooks. But people have to realize too, demo days are great. You can pay for a fitting. You can pay for a fitting and go and see if, I'll try out all sorts of different brands, all sorts of different products and see if they beat what you have. And when I say beat, I don't mean distance. I mean, perform better from a consistency basis, left to right, north, south, as we say, as far as the distance, left to right, as far as dispersion, maybe feels better, maybe whatever. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. There's not a how often. And here's the thing, we have to realize now there's so many new golfers in the game. That's why we're getting, more of these questions that are like this. So, and nobody's ever told them like how often, because they've only bought one before. They bought their initial one. So
every chance I get, and maybe some other people do this, but every chance I get, I try new putters. Every chance I get, like for instance, I'll go to say Golf Town, just because it's top of my retail and my brain. But you can do this at on-course pro shops as well, because the pros will let you. Is I go to the putting area. I'm not interested in the equipment on the wall unless I'm going to look at it. I'm not going to the net and trying out new clubs in there. I never do. But putters, I'll go over and I'll just start randomly grabbing putters off the wall and hitting 3 or 4 putts and if something just catches my eye when I set it down and make a few putts and it feels right, then I might get a little bit more vested in what's in my hand and set that one aside. You go, you know what? I don't need a new putter, but that felt awfully good. And you kind of play around, find a few more, maybe you don't, and you go back to that one to hit some more putts, and then you're like, geez, I actually am rolling the rock pretty good with this thing. Maybe I should consider one. And then you kind of leave it, and you come back, a couple weeks later, and you try it again. It still feels good, and then you might make the purchase. So there's no timeline on when I buy that new putter. And it's the same thing with any club in your bag.
Yeah,
right?
and you can... and you can go through the same process with a putter as well. I mean, if you're looking for what your deficiencies are with a product, that's really what you should come down to. Am I missing out on something from a performance standpoint from what I currently have? And if it's a case of strike, maybe you've changed the golf course that you're playing at, so the green conditions are changed. So maybe you need more loft or less loft on that putter. Maybe your dispersion as far as how you're delivering that putter, as far as your strike, is it consistent? Am I getting a different feel because inserts are different as far as the feel and how the golf ball is responding off of that, as far as, is it coming off fast? Is it coming off slow? Does it change how I make my stroke? you can dig into that stuff too.
Yeah.
So it depends how detailed that you want to get with it. But again, as Jeff said, it's not a case of here's the calendar and put it on the calendar, I'm buying it whenever. It's more a case of performance and how your clubs perform for you.
Okay. Let me see here. Okay, we got 3 more on this thing. I'm just going to, what do we got for time? Okay, I'm just going to skip. Like. I'm going to skip one. I'm going to go to this one. Now that JT has returned to the winner's circle, do you think he can win again this year? Okay, so the easy answer is, do I think that he can win again this year? Yes, I think that JT could win at least 4 or 5 more times this year. Realistically, will JT win again this year? It may be a more specific opinion, and I stress opinion. I'm going to say yes. I think that JT will win again this year, and I think that it may come at the PGA Championship.
Okay.
Which he's won before.
Yes. At where did he win it before?
It's at Quail Hollow. Well, right. It's at Quail Hollow. So
where he won it in 2017.
Yes. So if he's going to win again, I think he might win before that. But my gut is telling me that might be where he wins again.
Yeah, and it's only a few weeks away now, so
he's close. He just won.
Yeah.
Is he going to win the week after the week after? Oh, sure, maybe he can, but I think Quail Hollow might be his Huckleberry.
I like that.
That's a Val Kilmer.
His Huckleberry. Thanks.
His Huckleberry says, I'll be your Huckleberry.
That starts on May 12th.
Why, Ringo, you look like you just walked over a grave.
Oh my. We're getting into movie quotes now, aren't we?
Okay.
May 12th is the week it starts.
I know. It's crazy.
Only a few weeks away. So
I love it. I love that we get that, like that's our next major. Like I love that, but get it out of the way early.
Yeah, I think he's in good form. He's got confidence. Hasn't won in 3 years.
Pretty jacked up after that win at Harbour Town. Pretty jacked up.
Yeah, and I think that does a lot for confidence. We usually see that with players as well. Once they get that sort of nice run of play happening, they usually stay in that form for a little while. That tends to always be the trend on tour. So I think that's an easy one just to say, yeah.
I think the bigger question is about who's going to win. Is when is Scheffler going to win?
That's a good one.
He's knocking on the door. I mean, he had that little hiccup at the beginning of the year with his hand.
Yeah.
And he had to get it right. And I feel like he's like knocking on the door for the last 2 or 3 weeks. He's knocking on the door.
Something seems to be missing though. Like his
putting sucks. But that's not really missing. That's always been there.
Yeah, I don't know I haven't dug into his stats, so I can't really say that. He's always really streaky, but if you look at his results this year, you're right. He's been knocking on the door. Mm-hmm. He's had he's made all 8 cuts, did 5 top 10s, 1 runner up in 8 events. He still won almost 5.
Look at as far as years on the PGA Tour go,
he's doing pretty good.
I mean, you're not you're not
Scotty Scheffler
turning your nose up at it by any means, but because of what he did last year.
Right.
And we're kind of the same way with Korda. Sure. Because of what she did last year, there's this kind of inherent expectation that why hasn't he already won like 3 times? Well, because golf is hard, man.
Yeah.
Last I checked, there were 140 plus other players teeing it up every week that want to win too and are quite capable of it. So if you're finishing in the top 5 and top 10s and contending, he's just now. Yes, there's something that's a little bit off this year with him. Something that's not getting him over the hump, because that's the difference between winning and losing every week. Is there's something that happens right consistently for 4 rounds that gets you over that hump, and something's missing right now. Yeah. But anyway, that question was not about Scotty Scheffler. I just made it about Scotty Scheffler.
Well, that's fine. We can. But I mean, in the end, let's think about this. Who's going to win more this year, JT or Scheffler? Now, JT's already up by 1. So what are your thoughts?
Scheffler.
Yeah?
Yeah. Scheffler's going to, I think at the end of the year, Scheffler will have won 3 times.
I'd go with that. I'm down with that.
So but I still think JT will have won at least twice.
What do you think? 3-2?
3-2. I think Scheffler will win 3 times, and I have a feeling one of them might be a major.
Okay.
Although I don't know if his game is really well suited for a U.S. Open, but if anybody's it's his. Yeah. I like Corey Connors to win a U.S. Open.
He's definitely got the skills.
He proved it at Augusta that he's the consistent, accurate greens, fairways and greens, and that's a big part of the U.S. Open.
Be the putter. Always going to be the putter,
and that's his Achilles heel to me.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, we've got what do we got here? We got a few minutes here. So the last question on the list here: any golf courses on your basket list or bucket list for 2025?
Yeah, I'll change it for you.
Interesting.
I haven't really given this much thought.
I do want to go up to TPC Toronto.
Okay.
And I would like to really get a good touring of the new facilities. And I would love to be able to play the North Course before the RBC. Or right after it.
It's only 5 weeks or so from now.
I mean,
it's early now.
That's kind of, but I wouldn't call it a bucket list. I think I would call it more of it's just something that I want to do.
Sure.
I don't really, when it comes to golf courses, especially when you're asking me in April, I don't really look in that far ahead because any course that's on my bucket list is something that I would play come like September, October, November. Like, I don't think because I just wouldn't be going anywhere to play anything in any significance in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Too busy. So there's nothing around here that's on a bucket list because I played everything.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't know.
I would say any golf course is on my bucket list
I'd say
now.
Based on the number of rounds of golf I played last year, I'd take anything right now. But last year, Castleview was on my bucket list.
Okay.
Not because it's like a TPC Sawgrass bucket.
Just hadn't played it in a while.
I hadn't played it in so long, and I've been hearing really good things. And Justin kept inviting me out to play, saying, the course is in great shape. Come and see. And eventually, by the end of the year, we did. And it was awesome. So I'm glad I did. Haven't played Nation Golf Club in a while. Be interesting to play that. If much has changed, I don't know. I haven't really heard too much.
No, I don't know if they've done much on the course. Obviously, we've had a lot of weather conditions and things over the last number of years that affected trees and a lot of golf courses. And obviously that one has a lot of trees and stuff out there. But that's one I haven't played in a long.
So
haven't played that one in a long time. I'm the same with you. I just sort of I haven't certainly got a list. If I look around here, I certainly have. I don't have a list, and I know a lot of people do that. But I haven't really kind of taken the time.
Trillium Wood is another one I haven't played in a while. Like if I'm talking local or like right around here, Trillium Wood or Timber Ridge, one of those two. Black Bear I haven't played in forever, but I mean, those two up that way maybe. Other than that, not really. Like I just want to play.
Yeah.
And if you ask me in July or August, if there's someplace that when the season ends, someplace that I want to go when the season ends and play somewhere that I, because now I've slowed down and I got time, well then ask me in July or August, like revisit that question in July or August, and maybe there's some more exotic places that I want to go to play. We've been doing a bunch of stuff with Whistler lately. And I have never been. So, I mean, that's maybe something that I'd want to do at some point is go and play golf up in Whistler, just because I've never done it. And I see a lot of stuff because they partner with us on some things. But
sure, a little mountain golf.
Not a bucket list, just something that I'd like to do, I guess. I guess that's kind of the definition of a bucket list. I don't know.
I don't really have much of an answer for that one because, as I said, I haven't really figured that out. But I guess the any first tee anywheres is good by me. I think just more golf. How's that? Just more golf.
I want to be joint healthy this year. I want my body to be good so that I can play a lot for long stretches and not have to take 3 or 4 days off in between golf to recover. And like I think if I have a bucket list, my bucket list is just stay healthy long enough to enjoy 30 or 40 rounds of golf this year. Like that would be awesome if I can get 25 to 30 rounds of golf, and I'd be happy.
Now, we've got a really good list this year for the flagstick.com PGA of Ottawa tour. So I want to get out first Spring Open is at Camelot, so I want to get out and see. I want to see Brandon's handiwork for that Spring Open. So but yeah, there's some good stuff that's on that schedule this year, and I think I know I'm going to play at least 3 events on the tour this year. I think I've got in my. Wonderful. So I think anything there would be good. So
cool. Yeah. All right, well, let's leave it there. Good. I like the questions. Keep them coming. We'd love to do mailbag again sometime. We're not going to do it every week. It's kind of something we do once in a while. But it's nice to get your questions out there and give you some answers, even though maybe some of our answers aren't what you want to hear, and maybe some of our answers are not even close to the answers you were expecting. Maybe we dodged your question. It's always a possibility too. Yeah. Well, let's leave it there for this week. Good show, as always. Thank you to our sponsors this week, Metcalfe Golf Club, Celtic Golf Center, presenting sponsor, obviously Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in the country. With over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine, top-tier accommodations, and exquisite culinary experiences, it is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book those vacations and tee times at golfpei.ca. And I do suggest you do it now, because I'm pretty sure that the good ones are going to start filling up real quick. Yeah. Well, we do hope that you're enjoying watching and hearing what we're laying down for you. Be sure that you're following across all those social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell to make sure you never miss anything that we put up there, good or bad or otherwise. Get on over to flagstick.com and check out some of the amazing golf content that's delivered up there every single day. And we do mean every day. And subscribe to our newsletter, Flagstick Digest. That's how you get it delivered to your inbox 3 times a week. And then you can take advantage of looking at some of that stuff that we pop up there every single day. So do that. It's free. And free is good, especially this day and age. No tariffs on Flagstick Digest subscriptions. 0 tariffs. And that's for our Canadians, Americans, Mexicans, Chinese, Japan, I don't care. There's no tariff on our newsletter subscription. As always, we appreciate you tuning in, but until next week, I am Jeff Potter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.